Mr. Anderson, welcome back. We missed you.
That's right, Hugo Weaving when he was Mr. Smith. He is back. Woohoo! He is back. The man, the myth, the legend, the chosen one, Neo. He has returned. Salutations, everyone. I'm Niru, and do you believe you're living in a simulation? Do you think that we live in just some kind of fake reality created by robots that happened during a robot revolution? Humans are just used as batteries for the entire world? Well, well, we're back, which is kind of weird. So if you've never seen The Matrix, then, I'm going to be talking about spoilers, obviously, from the previous movie. So if you haven't seen them, you go watch them. They're not that bad of films. My experience with the Matrix movies, they are one of the first rated R movies I've seen as a kid. Uh, I know that sounds bad. First it was Kill Bill, and then it was Matrix. It was kind of like the movies I watched that I wasn't supposed to watch, but they were rated R, but they weren't that rated R, if I have to be more honest. They were more just cool action movies, but also were talking deep philosophical questions about the universe and being human and all that, and what is better, reality or this fake universe we live in. And I did enjoy that about the Matrix movies when I got older, that there was some interesting stuff about it. The first movie I will always love. I think the first movie is perfect. It's the best one out there, and should have been the only one. And I didn't notice that until a friend of mine told me this. I enjoyed the first movie. I enjoyed the story, the characters, and the nature of seeing Neo becoming the one and trying to believe that there's far more better things in the universe that he wants to save humanity from. I did enjoyed all of that. The sequel I did enjoy it a lot. I loved the action, the fighting, the CGI that I thought was kind of good back then. And I loved, again, the story of it. It was pretty cool. But then, the third movie rolled around, and the third movie was really but that soundtrack by, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but he doesn't do music. I think his name is Don Davis, I think that's his name. And I never seen him do music for movies anymore for a long time. I think the only recent movie I seen this composer do, no joke, he did the music for the live action Tokyo Ghoul movie in Japan, which is so interesting because I'm like, wow, he did that? He wasn't a bad choice for that, honestly. Hey, my friend told me a long time ago when we were in high school, he said that the first movie should have been the only movie, and that's it. Once he started to gain his abilities, once he started to become the one, it should have ended. The movie should have been standalone. Dio got his powers, and then the movie should have ended where he flew off into the sky, and that's it. There didn't need to be a sequel, he said. All you need to know was that he now believed he's the one, and you can just assume he's gonna kick a lot of ass after he flew off into the sky. And he is technically right. The movie did feel like it was standalone, more self-contained into one film. And the sequels just felt like they were unnecessary. Like we didn't need a definitive conclusion. We already got Neo to be the one. He's already uh, has believed that he's in a better universe that he needs to try and fix and try to save humanity. And I get it that it would. I understand that it should have been a standalone film, and I understand him. And because the sequels kind of suck. And being reloaded is okay. It's cool. I do like the film still. It still had interesting stuff to talk about, even though the movie felt more kind of meh at times. I mean, maybe that's because I watched the Nostalgia Critic reviews of it and I'm starting to have like negative opinions on it because, maybe I was wearing rose tinted glasses when watching the Matrix movies and thinking they were all good, but they don't do anything challenging. Though, I can't deny the fact that everyone can't deny the fact that the Matrix has and always will have done a lot of good in the movie industry. It introduced the bullet time. It introduced a lot of interesting new camera work details that everyone started to parody or started to use with their own benefit in different movies. The Matrix has started a new way of directing in movies, but it was made in the 90s, during the time when long black coats were a thing and sunglasses being worn at night and black was just cool and edgy. Like the Matrix wasn't the first to do it. Blade did it. Underworld did it. Well, Underworld did it after Matrix, but a lot of movies have done the whole the the protagonist will wear this long, dark, black trench coat and he's gonna look cool and badass and he's also gonna wear sunglasses and look cool. Like that's the look for every protagonist back then in the 90s and early 2000s. They wore a black coat just because it would look cool in action fight scenes when they do martial arts. It's, we were kind of obsessed with that back then. We were obsessed with like kung fu movies or actors who come from China who introduced martial arts and kung fu in movies that we became so obsessed with, which I really wish would be a thing still, that we still do like the over the top kung fu wire work fights that we used to get back then. I don't know if Shang-Chi did that, but if Shang-Chi is a cool fight movie, then I would totally love that. Hopefully the action is filmed well in that movie for me to enjoy. We do got one of the actors returning. It's no longer going to be the Wachowskis. It's only going to be Lana Wachowski directing this film. And kind of a good thing, because I don't think anyone else could do a Matrix movie justice. I don't think you could get any director. Like, it has to be one of the Wachowskis to go and make this film. And it does look pretty cool. It does look interesting. It seems like Neo is, well, again, trapped in the Matrix, which kind of sounds odd because in the third movie he died and Trinity died in the last movie, or I'm guessing we're assuming they died, and nothing else, and that Neo was probably put back into the Matrix after he was done saving humanity and stopping Mr. Smith from destroying the Matrix. and killing us all. So he was either dead or he wasn't dead. So we don't know, honestly. Like, maybe they're trying to explain to us how he survived during this whole thing. And I'm not sure about Carrie-Anne Moss's character right here, Trinity. I don't know if she's actually Trinity or she's just a program to look like Trinity to fool Neo. So it's kind of interesting to wonder what's going to happen when this movie comes out this year and see what they're going to do to explain how Neo is alive and why they need him back, which is kind of interesting to wonder what's going to happen. Is this sequel necessary? Is this cash grabbing on nostalgia? Maybe. It probably is, but to me, I think I would love to see another Matrix movie. I don't know, maybe it's because it's the nostalgia of me wanting to see Keanu Reeves do cool martial arts wire work again. I mean, we got the John Wick movies already, which them in itself is kind of a spiritual successor to Matrix with their cool action scenes. Since they got Keanu and Lawrence Fishburne in the film, of course, it seems like a Matrix reunion. I mean, what they're missing in that film was Carrie-Anne Moss. So if John Wick 4 puts Carrie-Anne Moss in the movie, that would be awesome. Haven't seen Carrie-Anne Moss in a movie lately. The only time I've seen her in movies is... Well, no. The only time I've seen her doing anything acting related was the TV show Jessica Jones, where she played, I think, a lawyer, which, she was pretty good as that character when she was in that show, and I still think she's a good actor to this day. So it's kind of it's kind of cool to see her returning back to the big screen on a movie for all these years. So good for her that she's now going to star in a big screen movie again. And I don't see Lawrence Fishburne in this film. Maybe they're saving him for when the movie comes out and then he's just going to make a surprise cameo appearance or what. I do love that they brought back like the whole green tint of the film. Like, I do love because it's like once you start to see the Matrix, you start to see like because at first it starts off colorful, but then once Neo, you see him like he's taking medicine, and his and I love his psychiatrist is freaking Neil Patrick Harris, Dr. Horrible himself, Doogie Howser himself, dude that Harold and Kumar meet in when they saw him in the car so horny in the White Castle movie. He's his therapist in this movie, and I'm like, what? So I was like, oh wow, that's Neil Patrick Harris. I was not suspecting that. I think my favorite shot in this is Keanu Reeves in a bathtub and there's like a rubber ducky on his head. I don't know why. I just loved that shot of him just in the bathtub and that duck's in his head. I was like, what the heck is going on? But I do love like all the color grading in this movie. You saw like the green tint to show that they're actually in a simulation, which I thought was pretty cool. And then you see him starting to see once he was done taking his medicine. And of course, his medicine is a blue pill, knowing that he's taking himself stuck into Wonderland. So he hasn't been taking a red pill. He's only been taking a blue pill to just believe what he sees in the simulation, which is cool. And I do. And also the best music choice for that trailer, White Rabbit. Oh my god, that was the perfect music choice for this movie. Because again, calling back to the Matrix movies where Morpheus said that he'll be stuck in Wonderland, and and didn't just believe what he wants to believe. I did love that. That was the best music choice for that trailer. And I started singing. And I don't know what version of the song was, but it kind of sounded like the Sucker Punch version. The one from Zack Snyder's movie Sucker Punch. I thought it sounded like that version. I don't know because it sounded like the person who sang it in Sucker Punch. It doesn't sound like the person who originally sang it. And I just started singing it naturally because, again, I love Sucker Punch and I remember that song from that film. And I just started like jamming so hard once the action started to fly off into the screen and then you hear that song jamming in the background. If that song does not play in the movie, I'm gonna be disappointed. I don't know who is returning back for the music. Well, let me actually check. Okay. Sadly, Don Davis is not returning to do the music, but it's two guys doing the music for this movie. I forgot Christina Ricci was gonna be in this movie. I didn't see her in the trailer. Did I miss her? Is she the one with the white rabbit on her? No, that wasn't her. I think that wasn't her. I forgot. I didn't see her in the trailer. Maybe I missed her or something, but I forgot Christina Ricci was gonna be in this film. Oh my god. I honestly love this film. Pumped me full of, nostalgia, but that's their intention. Pump you full of nostalgia that you have to pay money to see this movie. Like the Matrix movies have been very close to my childhood when I was young. I loved watching those movies. I loved the action. I loved the fight scenes in the movie. I did love everything about it. The movie doesn't, well, the sequels, honestly, in my opinion, do not hold up as much with CGI because that Agent Smith fight with Neo in the second movie where Neo has to fight all the Mr. Smiths in the film could have been a good fight scene, but then once the CGI kicks in, it looks like you're watching the cutscene to a PS2 video game. Kind of shows you the technology wasn't there. I think the other flaws with the sequels is that they were released on the same year. No joke. In 2003, there was two Matrix films that were released that year. The first movie, I believe, was released in the summer, and the next film was released in the fall, I believe. So it was kind of weird that they promoted the sequels during the same year they came out because it showed that the movies were made back to back, Revelations, not Revelations, Matrix Revolutions, and no, The Matrix Reloaded and Revolution. I keep forgetting titles. Revelation. I mix titles with Resident Evil titles with Matrix titles because Resident Evil had a Revelations or what was it? Retribution. And oh god, I'm so stupid. But this I'm so dumb. I'm sorry. But I did see because those movies came out in the theater at the same year, which people were kind of pissed at because that shows that if the movies were made back to back, which is a ballsy move, which is a risky move, no movie can take that much of a risk unless they're so confident to make them, was the Lord of the Rings movies. And those movies took the risk because all three of those films were shot simultaneously and then put on the big screen. And it was a real risky move on New Line Cinema and people who first time heard this director, uh, Peter Jackson, and they really did took a risky move on this director, since this director has only done like B movie horror for a long time, and now jumping into fantasy. And wow, those movies did took a risk, but they did took time and effort to try to be faithful to the books and wanting to give fans a good adaptation to those books. And well, to one book, because Lord of the Rings was one book, sorry. And this movie did the same thing. It took a risk, thinking like, oh, the fans of the Matrix will love this movie, so we'll just film them this simultaneously and then release them on the same year. But there's the problems with that. Because of that, you can't learn flaws that you did in the second movie, and then those flaws are gonna be so overpowered in the third movie that you're just gonna have a bad film. And that is the problem with it. The Wachowskis should have just made their sequel and that's it. They should have just made one sequel, see how it does, see if the audience will love it, see if critics will like it, and if there's any problems with it, they would have learned from those mistakes, and then they would put the criticisms that they were given in the second movie and try to fix them in the third film. And that's how you do it. But they didn't, and that's why the third film kind of failed. I don't know if it was completely a bomb, but The Matrix Revolutions really wasn't the most well received Matrix movie, and people think that the coolest fight scene between Neo and Mr. Smith was from the Matrix video games, where you had to fight a gigantic big Mr. Smith that is like formed from all the flying Mr. Smiths in the city. Which I honestly agree with them. That looked cool. But you know, it's whatever. And maybe Lana Wachowski is learning from the mistakes that happened in the second and third films and is probably taking that criticism, hopefully taking that criticism, and trying to make something good with the fourth Matrix movie and try to expand the world more, try to do more world building and make it cool. Because Matrix was like basically an anime film. No joke, because when the Wachowskis came to Warner Brothers, they showed them Ghost in the Shell, and they were like, we want to make that. We want to make that. Which makes you pick the question, why didn't the Wachowskis make a Ghost in a Shell movie? Like, they seem to be so passionate about the movie that you would think they'd be the ones to direct Ghost in a Shell, not dude who made Snow White and the Huntsman. Like, you would not think that. You would think it would have easily become the Wachowskis, since they were very passionate about it. I mean, hell, they were passionate about the Speed Racer movie, and they grew up with the anime. And they actually knew a lot more than everyone else did, because they didn't want to make just a straightforward, ordinary Speed Racer movie. No, they wanted to make a Speed Racer movie that would totally fit in a live action film and make it anime as possible, but with live action. And they've done that, and I honestly love them for taking a ballsy move or risk with a 2-hour Speed Racer movie. And that movie's freaking good. Say what you want about Aaron Hansen, he's not wrong. That movie is good. The Wachowskis have I've had a mixed relationship with their movies for kind of a while. I do love Matrix. I will still believe that was the movie that became a game changer to the film industry. And I do love Speed Racer. I think that movie was pretty good when I was a kid. I still think it's good to this day. The Wachowskis have done a lot. They are really not bad filmmakers. I mean, their story and direction of people acting in movies, I think could use a little work. I mean, Speed Racer, they did great with the actors there. I just don't know why they couldn't for Jupiter Ascending. I did enjoy Cloud Atlas. I thought it was a weird film and trippy, and it took me a few like watches to understand it. But I did enjoy Cloud Atlas a lot. I never liked Jupiter Ascending. I don't think that movie's great. Matrix Revolutions was meh. Reloaded was pretty cool. It does have some memorable scenes that everyone talks about, but it's not as good as the first movie. Wachowskis have made a lot of interesting films. I know they didn't direct it, but I do love V for Vendetta. I always watch that film every 5th of November. Like, I think I never broke tradition for that for yet. I have been breaking tradition with watching Summer Wars a long time ago, sadly, because I haven't been feeling up to watching it. But I think I've listed out all the Wachowski movies I did enjoy over the course of their career. I didn't have a hatred for a few, but I have a immense hatred for some in the movies they made for in the longest in their career. They haven't directed a movie since Jupiter Ascending, and since this is probably Lana Wachowski's first solo directional debut without her sister returning with the other movies that they did, so that's kind of interesting. I'm curious to wonder what she has in store for this film, now that she doesn't have her sister along to direct side by side her in this. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. And I do. When the first time I've seen the Wachowskis in an interview is when they were promoting Jupiter Ascending, I think, and they were like in this like I think college or university interview about directing movies. And keep in mind on this, as much as people are like thinking like, oh, the Wachowskis don't know what they're doing, they are have their head stuck up their ass thinking they're talking about deep philosophical questions, but they're not. And I can't say that because I don't know them personally. But when I saw like this interview with them, with this college or university professor, and they're talking about film and direction of film, I did love that they were talking about their experiences with movies, what made them like so interested in making films the way they did, and what they wanted to do challenging in the film industry, what impact they want to leave, and what movies inspired them when they were kids, when they were young, and what stuff they watched that they loved when they were growing up. I did loved that. I loved seeing that, because you see that they're not bad directors, honestly. Like, sure, they didn't make a lot of good movies, and some movies they made that were fine. Some movies that they made that were freaking underrated, like Speed Racer, really needed some good recognition. Um, you see that they have a passion for movies. Like, you see the passion they have for films. You see them talking about what got them so inspired to write movies and make something good, like what they want to do in their film career, what impact and what uh, legacy they want to leave behind with the movies they've made in their long career. And I did love hearing them talk about that. Because you see that they have a lot of passion, they have a lot of ambition on what they want to do when making a movie. And all the people they worked with and all the people they talked about and what they loved during process of filming films. The Wachowskis are really good directors. Will they have gone there. I think it was Lana Wachowski that was talking about how she saw, I think, 2001 A Space Odyssey. I think that's what she saw, and then she didn't understood it. And her father tried to, like, explain to her, like, as best as he could, like, I don't know, I think it means this. I think it means it symbolizes God or something. Even though as a kid she didn't understand that, but she was honestly thinking, okay, maybe I need to see that movie a second time. And she's like, oh. This is all from memory, from what I remembered from this interview I watched a really long time ago. And they were talking about how much their film directing and how much their camera work or how much their like great way of putting deep meanings or put some heart and emotion in movies that has gone unappreciated. And I understand that, especially with the ending race scene from Speed Racer, of Speed driving his car and trying to win the race, and seeing all the people that inspired him and all the people who gave him inspiration around or throughout the movie in his life. It was really cool to see all that unfold in the movie. Like, they made a Speed Racer movie, but they made a Speed Racer movie not to just entertain kids. No, they made a Speed Racer movie that could be enjoyed for adults as well, because that film does great with storytelling and visual storytelling as well, with how they shot it with, even though some of it was green screen, some of it was set, they did a great job with how they angled the camera to show who is evil or who is good. Like, Speed Racer is next to like the racing like stuff in Royalton's office, and you see like Royalton in the back is like stock prices, because you can tell he cares about money. You can tell the Wachowskis do want to make a movie that means a lot, one that just brings a lot of like make people think, like not just make their movie just typical ordinary action. They want to make something deep and mean something meaningful, which is kind of like, you understand that why they loved Ghost in a Shell. They knew the deep questions that Ghost in a Shell talks about. They know the whole like things about reality or being a synthetic robot, or what is considered human, or who is considered human without their ghost or without their human personality or anything. Ghost in a Shell asked those deep questions, and all the complications that they made to confuse you, but also try to make you learn and think. And that's what Ghost in a Shell is. They understood it. That director who made the live action movie didn't understood it, but at least he kind of got it to the point the movie wasn't that bad. So I understand, but I did wish the Wachowskis were the ones to direct a Ghost in a Shell movie, because they could have done it freaking justice, honestly. Like, I think they could have done great with a Ghost in a Shell film, but I guess they wanted to make something original, like something they want to make on their own, that wasn't something that was based on an anime or based on some other property, which is quite understandable. And it's kind of odd. You would think, like, why would the first anime adaptation movie they would do is Speed Racer? But hey, you wouldn't expect that from the Wachowskis anyway. I guess they're that spontaneous, which is really cool. Like, you wouldn't expect it. Like, these people made The Matrix, and now they're making a Speed Racer movie. You wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect that from them, but they did it. They did it, and everyone liked it except for critics and people who didn't appreciate it back then. I never watched it in the theater. I wish I did. I wish I saw Speed Racer in the movie theater. I wish there was like a Century Theaters Fathom event where they put Speed Racer back on the big screen, because sure as shit, you know I'm gonna freaking go to that theater and watch Speed Racer on that big screen, because I would totally have fun with that movie. Boy, I've gone to a lot of tangents in this. About my nostalgia with the Wachowskis. Boy, that this was meant to be just a quick video. I didn't have to do that much editing. I don't have to just do it. All I just had to do was talk about the trailer, and that's it. What I loved about it, what I thought was pretty cool, and hopefully the movie is good. I don't know. It became me just kind of praising the Wachowskis and what they've done with movies. As much as people say, like, oh, Dark City is the better Matrix movie, well, you are technically right. Dark City is the better Matrix movie. And no, that movie's not in a simulation. It's much more darker than that. Haha, see what I did there? If you haven't seen Dark City, go watch it. It's really good. But it's, semantics. The movies are both good. I think I will always like the first Matrix movie, and if I have to go and rewatch another one of them, I will. Maybe I'll do it this Friday. Maybe I'll do like a marathon before like the other Matrix movies comes out. Maybe I'll do on Sunday, because I don't do that much streaming on Sunday, and just like chill, relax, have a good time, and watch the films. I mean, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I mean, I already have like a movie day I have to do with my family with new movies. I have to watch, Malignant and Kate this weekend for movie reviews I gotta do. But honestly, I would love I would love to just re-watch all the Matrix movies again and just have a good time and see if my opinions have changed. Maybe I'll do a review of all three of them, and it's gonna be this 1 hour video of you just seeing me in a on a just a still image of me talking about Neo, and then hear him say, "Whoa." I've gone on a lot of tangents. That's my problem with talking. I go on so many freaking tangents when it comes to stuff that I like, or come to stuff that I am very close to growing up to when I was just a young kid. And these movies were the things I grew up with, things that solidified my joy, my interest in action movies that have good cinematography, or like movies in general that just have good action cinematography at all. And just seeing those movies probably just clicked in my brain how much I do enjoy movies I grew up with watching in the 90s and 2000s. And I I just have fun with those films, especially seeing that I'm just remembering how many movies I shouldn't have watched as a kid because they were rated R. But it's kind of like that situation, if you ever were a kid, where your parents are like, you can watch it, but if you see any sex or nudity in it, you gotta cover your eyes. The gory shit, oh, that's fine. All the blood and gore, that's good. You can see that. Oh my god, even the Animatrix. I think the Animatrix. Holy crap. I think the Animatrix also was like one of my first introductions to anime. Like, that was like one of my first introductions to anime. Like, that and Hayao Miyazaki with Howl's Moving Castle, Fully Cooley, a lot Big O, also Ghost in the Shell, like a lot of anime that I glanced at and said like, "Oh wow, that looks cool." Like those were the animes at the time I watched because it was so minimal. I didn't think to go on the internet and watch anime for free. I don't think the anime three like the free anime streaming sites existed back then. I don't know when they start to exist, but I think I didn't have good internet back then either, so it was whatever. But seeing all my introductions to anime were from like basically movies like Disney when they brought the Hayao Miyazaki Studio Ghibli films to the States, or like when the Wachowskis brought the Animatrix to to show like all the brilliant anime directors, just like the director of Cowboy Bebop was also did two shorts that were pretty good in the it was our two or three shorts that they did. And also a fan favorite that is also my favorite as well over the Animatrix shorts is the anime short Beyond, where it follows a young woman who tries to look for her cat, and she ends up finding her cat with these kids who found an old abandoned haunted house, or in quotations haunted house, and they find like glitches in the Matrix, which I thought was the coolest thing, and was well animated as well for that short. And you see them like going through all the glitches through the Matrix, like loving, like having fun and enjoying it, until being later captured by the agents, and they had to contain the area to make sure that the glitches never happen again. And I did love this one scene where she has her finger cut, this the main character of that short, and then she drops her blood on the ground. And at first I thought it was an audio issue, but it wasn't. I think it was intentional, where you see her dropping her blood, but her blood drops, but you don't hear a sound. But then you hear a sound that was delayed, where you hear the blood drip, but you don't hear it when the blood exactly falls. It comes like delayed about a few seconds, which I thought was pretty cool because it showed that the glitch is still there, but you just have to hear it closely to understand it. That I never caught as a kid. As a kid, it was my favorite short, mainly because I had a crush on the female character in that short, and I was like, oh, wow, she's cute. I never, that. Here's a thing I never got when I was just a little kid, when I was just a wee lad, when I was a boy, when I was a wee lad, I never understood cartoons of boys just talking about like, ew, girls are disgusting, or girls saying like, ew, boys are disgusting kind of thing. Like, I never understood that when I was a kid. Like, why are they just saying like, I don't like girls? I'm like, why don't you like girls? Like, what makes them disgusting to you that that you don't like about them? And I never understood it when I was a kid. I was like, ever since I was a kid, I was always attracted to women or attracted to girls. Hell, I was attracted to women that were twice my age because I thought they were cute. I was like I was so like had a hard crush on Catwoman, preferably Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman from Batman Returns. And I was like, wow, she is beautiful. I was like, whoa. I obsessed over like women when I was a kid. Like I thought there was like crushes I had when I was young. Raven, obviously from Teen Titans, of course. Uh, a lot of like characters I loved back then that in cartoons and in movies there was always that crush you'll have in films that you would be attracted to. And I still don't understand the whole thing about boys saying that girls are disgusting. Even with that Little Rascals movie, I was like, but why? Like, you said they have cooties, and I'm like thinking, then what the hell is that? Like, I never hated girls when I was a kid. I did like them. I became friends with a lot of like girls in my class in elementary school. So I, so honestly, I still have no freaking idea why it is it was like an issue. Like, oh, who cares? Like, what? Yeah, but I'm getting off topic again. Another tangent from Wolf. The Animatrix was the better sequel to the Matrix. Like the directors, they clearly were thinking about like, okay, let's do some world building. Let's talk about things that the Wachowskis never said in the Matrix in the first Matrix movie. Like, what about the glitches that are in the Matrix, or what about people who probably accidentally got out of the simulation, or how about people that try to make robots that took over the world uh, realize that humanity is actually pretty great and show that they're not bad people. And it shows a lot because these directors, like one of the directors from Aeon Flux, Shinichiro Watanabe, that's his name, the guy who directed Cowboy Bebop. I hope I said his name right. Uh, a lot of other directors who've done like other anime stuff that they've done in the past or other animations, they actually asked like what things going on and what things are uh, that mean a lot to the Matrix. Has there been more than one person that doesn't like the reality and want to be in the simulation and want to and wish to return to their old life? There is a lot of things that these directors challenge the notion, challenge the question about how flawed is the simulation, or is the simulation actually better to be in than actually uh, being in the reality that is so bleak and depressing. And how many times has the Matrix glitched and they have to fix it every time? Like how many times they have to like try to make sure that the Matrix is completely fixed and less buggy. I did love that. Just like the whole like dude that was a professional Olympic runner. Basically, he was like trying to push his limits to go run even faster, like that high, that adrenaline, like he wants to escape something. And you see this guy, he's a professional runner. It's like a sport he does where he's running and wins like a medal all the time. But when you see him pushing to his limits, like really pushing to the limit of running really fast, you see that he accidentally leaves the simulation. Like, he's running so fast that he's actually getting out of the simulation and actually ripping away the wires that he was attached to and actually trying to escape the Matrix. And you see him push that limit that he actually does get out, but the robots are like, oh shit, put him back in. And then gets back inside the Matrix and breaks his freaking leg. He twists it, and then he just collapses. And I was like, wow, that was intense. That was interesting. Like, it does show the flaws of the Matrix. Like, how many people are gonna go and, like, push to the limit where they find out they're in a simulation, or they immediately get, like, that sense of adrenaline that probably will get them out of the Matrix, and they find out what the hell is going on, and that they were just there. Like, that's insane. Matrix can talk about deep questions, and whatever, if you want to stay in the simulation or you want to live in the reality that the robots have taken over. Like, it's your choice. Like, do you want to be in a better reality where you want to live and actually not be in a simulation, or do you want to stay in the simulation? You want my opinion, and I want to hear your guys' opinion. I'd rather stay in the simulation. I don't know. I don't think I could stand being in a bleak dystopian future where all the robots have destroyed humanity and everything has been bleak and destroyed because of the whole robot revolution thing. I don't think I could live in that world. I would rather stay in the simulation, sadly. I don't know. I mean, you better stick me back in there like I'm Nagito Kamida in Danganronpa until everything is fixed in the world. Well, no one's gonna get why I said that, but you'll understand if you ever watched the anime. But anyway, then what do you guys think of the Matrix trailer? Have I ranted and gone on tangents for too long? I probably have, but I'll be releasing this video today because I still have to prepare and edit my video of frickin' the What If Zombies episode and try to edit it as best I can. But, you know, this will be a nice little 52-minute video to make up for yesterday lacking a video due to me streaming longer yesterday. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you, Wolfpack, in the next one. Ciao, darlings. Remember, you are loved.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow!
Okay, click.
I'm Merovingian. Hey, Matrix, am I a vampire or a werewolf?
You're both.
Okay.
No one's gonna get this character. Is that how he's supposed to sound? Like an idiot? Oh my gosh. Just punch your tip.